Okay, so a while ago I read about a Dr. Zakir Naik. Now most of you will probably know who he is. He's an Islamic preacher that tours different countries with his teachings and so on. Now apparently he's quite the authority. Many people really praise him. Now I must admit the way he answers questions and speaks on stage is somewhat impressive. He's quick-witted and in at least some sense it sort of impresses me. But anyway, unfortunately, the more I watched him speak, the more I realized his awful misinformation. Here's an example.
With regard to the evolution of Homo sapiens, you have Charles Darwin in Science giving an explanation that it's because of the process of natural selection that the human beings have evolved. Now seems to be in contradiction with the Islamic belief that we are the children of Adam alayhi salam. Now how can this be reconciled?
This is a very important question. No lecture of mine on this topic of Quran modern science is complete without this question. I've given this talk in various places, in Canada, in USA, in UK, in Saudi. Never is this topic complete, never is the question answer complete without this important question of theory of evolution. Charles Darwin. Sister has posed the question, how can you reconcile the Quran with Darwin's theory of evolution? Sister, I have not come across any book which says fact of evolution. All the books say theory of evolution. There is no book I have come across saying fact of evolution.
So right off the bat, basically the lowest argument against evolution available. I have lost count of how many times I've heard it. Hopefully all of you understand how ridiculous it is, but for those who don't, I'll explain it once more. A scientific theory is the highest construct in science that some idea can reach. Evolution is a theory in the same way gravity is a theory. They have both been tested, observed, and experimented with affirming and similar results countless times over to eventually reach a consensus that they are the best explanations of a certain phenomenon that we have so far.
If you read the book by Charles Darwin, The Origin of Species, it says that Charles Darwin went on an island by the name of Calotropis on a ship named as HMS Beagle.
Charles Darwin did sail the HMS Beagle, but not to an island named Calotropis. I don't think that place exists outside the imagination of this poor gentleman. But Charles Darwin did actually sail to an island called the Galapagos.
And there he found birds pecking at niches. Depending upon the ecological niches they pecked, the beaks, kept on becoming long and short.
Pecking at niches? What? Ecological niches are the roles and positions of a particular species in its environment, not something that birds can peck at. And finch species did not just differ among their beaklets. There were several other factors that Darwin accounted for.
This observation was made in the same species, not in different species.
Darwin's whole point of this exercise was to study differences in species. He accounted for differences in 14 different species of finches.
Charles Darwin wrote a letter to his friend Thomas Thompson.
Yeah, there is absolutely no one by that name in any of Charles Darwin's published history.
Charles Darwin himself said that there were missing links. He didn't agree with it.
Why would he not agree with his own theory? I mean, he did admit to missing links existing, but that was evolution in its infancy. Since then, there have been numerous discoveries that have been able to fill in these said missing links.
They only supported it because it went against the Bible. All the stages were mentioned, sister. All the stages. Lucy. There were 4 hominids. Science tells us today there's 4 hominids. First is Lucy, along with its guide, the Australopithecus, which died about 3.5 million years, the Ice Age.
Hominoids. What? They're called hominids. Lucy was an Australopithecus afarensis, and he claims that her species aligned with this Australopithecus. That does not even exist. There is no hominid species with that name. A afarensis, of which Lucy is a part of, lived between around 3.9 and 2.9 million years ago, and that was definitely not part of the Ice Age period.
Then next came the Homo sapiens. We died about 500,000 years ago.
Come on, we are Homo sapiens. Early Homo sapiens probably appeared around 200,000 years ago, and somewhere in modern Ethiopia, I think.
Then came the Neanderthal man. We died 100 to 40,000 years ago. Then came the fourth stage, the Cro-Magnon.
Neanderthals were our sister species, not part of our specific timeline. We lived on while they died out, and not 100 to 40,000 years ago. It was around 30,000 years ago that they were extinct.
There is no link at all between these stages.
Cro-Magnons were also Homo sapiens, not a separate hominid species. They were actually the earliest modern humans that we know of, I think, and they date to around 20 to 30,000 years ago.
I can give you a list of hundreds of scientists and Nobel Prize winners who speak against Darwin's theory. Hundreds!
Evolution is an incredibly long process. Interspecific evolution progresses through tiny changes compared to the overall genome of the species. Missing links aren't a thing. Species do not just jump into existence. There are many examples of species that place in microevolutions and collectively result into humans. There are obviously parts of the puzzle that we haven't found. But what do you expect? Fossils aren't that reliable. It's hard for them to form and stay preserved. Not every single species involved in the microevolution between two macro species is going to be available for us to see. The world just doesn't work like that. It doesn't care about your insecurities.
If you know of Sir Albert Georgi, who got the Nobel Prize for inventing the vitamin C, he wrote a book, The Crazy Ape and Man, against Darwin's theory. Again, if you read Sir Fred Hoyle's works, he wrote several works against Darwin's theory. If you know about Rupert Stalbert, this person wrote a new theory of evolution against Darwin's theory. It's unthinkable. You cannot think that we are created from the apes. If you know of Sir Frank Salisbury, he was a biologist. He said it is illogical to believe in Darwin's theory. If you know about Whitemead, Sir Whitemead, he wrote a book against Darwin's theory. He was also a biologist. Several, you can give a list of hundreds.
Okay, bullet points. It's Albert St. Georgi. Vitamin C is a naturally occurring chemical. His book was called The Crazy Ape. There was no Ant-Man. It was not a refutation of Darwin's theory. Okay, done. Next, Rupert's Albert is either a fabrication by Naik or a name so awfully mispronounced that even Google can't help me find who the hell this guy's referring to. Same story with Sir Frank Salisbury and a Sir Whitemead. Google is completely stumped by these names. Where the hell is he getting them from?
Today it is taught in the schools. Why? I told you. Media is in their hand. Otherwise, there is no proof at all. There are certain proofs at lower levels. An amoeba at lower species level, amoeba can change to paramecia. Quran does not say amoeba cannot change to paramecia. Quran does not say. If they have got proof, can be possible. It's not against the Quran.
So because it's not in the Quran, it's possible? What about Santa? Oh my god. Is Kim Possible real? Like, I've dreamed about this moment for my entire life. Anyway, it's a paramecium, and the genome difference between an amoeba and a paramecium is far greater than anything between a great ape and a human, for example.
But there's no proof at all. People talk about molecular biology theory. They talk about genetic coding. According to Francis Crick, who's authority in this field, he said it is unimaginable. Again, if you do that ratio, the probability of one DNA forming from ape to human being is again 0. If I start calculating, I think we'll get bored again. You know the calculation I told you for one protein molecule? It is somewhat similar from one DNA. It is not possible at all.
I think he means Francis Crick. Where the hell did this guy study medicine? But yeah, Crick was integral to the discovery of DNA, so he totes accepted evolution, most likely even more so after his discovery. Anyone with a grade 9 education in science would know this.
You know, there's a theory recently that homosexuality is genetic. And when I read in the Times of India, I thought, surely, the moment I attend the next lecture on Sunday in IRF, I'll be asked this question. If homosexuality is genetic, how can Allah blame us? Quran speaks against homosexuality. And I said that, see, this is a theory. Wait till it gets established. It's a theory. Don't comment on that. Within the matter of span of this few months, it was proved to be illogical. And the person who propounded this theory that homosexuality is genetic himself was an homosexual.
You know what? I'm not even going to go into that and waste my time researching it. I'm 100% sure it's another fabrication. But anyway, I've heard Richard Dawkins discuss homosexuality from an evolutionary standpoint, and it actually makes sense to me. I also find it a strange assertion that if an individual holds a certain characteristic, then positing an idea or theory relating to that characteristic makes it a null effort. How does the proposer of that theory being gay have anything to do with his findings? If the scientific method is used correctly, any of his personal bias will be void. But Naik clearly states that the Quran is against homosexuality, which it is. I've been told several times to read it, so I know what it says, and this means that all Muslims should be against it, like just logically. And I've talked to several gay Muslims, which just baffles me. Why would you stick to something like that?
Therefore, I said I'm going to give my talk on scientific facts, not on theories and assumptions. Darwin's theory has not been proven. We have not been created from ape. There are hundreds of scientists who speak against that, and Quran speaks against that also. Quran says the first man was Adam, peace be upon him. Inshallah, they'll discover it 100 years afterwards, or maybe 1,000 years afterwards. Today, there is research showing that human beings have been created from one pair. Again, it's just a theory. It supports the Quranic verse that human beings have been created from one pair, male and female. It's just a theory. Therefore, I don't quote that in my talk. Inshallah, it will be established 50 years afterwards or 100 years afterwards. Then we'll know that Quran conciliates with this part. So far, it's not conflicting. It's not conflicting with established science at all. Hope that answers the question.
It's not. Are you sure? Anyway, I hope this helped you realize this man's awful lack of knowledge if you hadn't already. I mean, the worst thing about this is that he has a massive following. Just looking at the people clapping at his first argument of it just being a theory just makes me sad. I mean, they have no knowledge outside of the confines of their theological perspective, and it just affects the species as a whole, which really saddens me again. But anyway, if you have a response or I made a mistake or anything, I'd be happy to correct it. Let me know in the comment section, and also let me know if you liked this video. Now, there was a similar video uploaded a while back, and it was similar to this, and it was by a channel called Road to Jesus, which kind of bummed me out. So I thought I'd make my own and add my own thoughts as well.